Welcome to Real Life, Real Talks, where real men have real conversations about life, leadership, and legacy. This podcast is about growth, as men, as fathers, as leaders. We bring on guests from all walks of life, entrepreneurs, veterans, fathers, and everyday men who have faced challenges, learned valuable lessons, and come out stronger. This is real, unfiltered, and unapologetically authentic. No scripts, no masks, just honest conversations about what it takes to be a man in today's world. Because in the end, iron sharpens iron. So if you're ready for real guidance from real men who have walked the path, you're in the right place. Hit that subscribe button and let's get into it. This is Real Life, Real Talks. Welcome to A Missing Panda. Today we're going to be doing Real Life, Real Talks, episode 1. Today we're going to be going over, personal growth and character development. Some of the topics we're going to be talking about today is what it means to be a good man, some of the importance of integrity in everyday life, developing emotional intelligence, also learning accountability, and just overall the role of humanity in becoming a better man. Timothy Kelly here is going to be our guest. Tell us about yourself and who you are.
What's up, Mikey?
Hey, what's up?
Thanks for having me, bro. Yeah, dude, looking forward to this conversation. Love what you're doing and the impact that you're making. So Mike and I went to Navy boot camp together. We went through the grind back in 2005, 20 years ago. Years ago.
Yes, it was great.
So yeah, I grew up right around the city of Chicago. Boot camp was like 15 minutes from my house. So I grew up right outside of Chicago. Joined the Navy when I was 21 because I was kind of fumbling around. Went to college right out of high school and survived one semester. And I'm like, this ain't for me. Dropped out. Got into some other different jobs, and I was also playing music. I've been drumming all my life, passionate about music. So I was in bands and like working, and I was like, no, the college isn't for me. So 21, I joined the Navy. Kind of fast forward, I was just like mostly focused on Navy stuff, just going through the ranks, just doing my job, serving the country, traveling the world with the Navy. And then about 9 years in, I went on a long deployment out of Norfolk, Virginia on the LHD-5, the USS Baton, a multi-purpose amphibious assault ship. Went on a long deployment to the Persian Gulf. And I always had like a curiosity, like an interest in how people who like create wealth and financial freedom do it. Like how do they get there? And so after just like reading a bunch of books, like I ended up getting the real estate investing bug. So I just immersed myself in real estate after that deployment. So 2015, I was about 9-10 years in the Navy. I kind of just on my free time, I just read books, immerse myself in podcasts, just like really educate myself on how people make money and build wealth and financial freedom in real estate. I quickly like started focusing on commercial and multi-family real estate. So large apartment complexes, mobile home parks, self-storage facilities, RV parks, all those things. And kind of just went right for the big stuff. And I just learned about how to do it. I'm like, I gotta figure this out. People like me and you are the ones who are owning these assets. So I'm like, I gotta figure out how to do this. I know I'm active duty, but I'm still gonna figure it out. So I did. And I dove into it, got into it, found some success while I was still active duty. And then along the way, I found other military real estate investors who wanted to help other military members and their families create wealth and financial freedom. And that's when Active Duty Passive Income was born. It is just the premier military real estate investing education platform. We're, like I said, helping other past and present military members and their families own more of America and just create wealth through owning the country, more of the actual of America that they swore to protect. So
That's awesome.
Was still active duty, got into that, helped build active duty passive income, and like along the way, because as I was learning in real estate, I always had an interest in like how successful people become that way, not just like how do they make money, but like how do like high performers and extraordinary people become that way. And so that took me down the path of becoming a certified high performance coach, where I help one-on-one, I help extraordinary people become more extraordinary in all different walks of life. And I help get one-on-one with them and really help them level up and unlock their higher performance in their lives. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. I reside in Tampa, Florida. I just moved here a year and a half, of almost 2 years ago. Love this area and here to help, man. Here to just have some good conversation that I know will impact some people.
Yeah, dude. Well, so you were saying you're a high performance coach and everything, so you definitely have some valuable input on growing people and individuals. You have an extensive experience of seeing lots of successful individuals. So, starting off, like, what do you feel, and how would you define what it means to be a good man?
Like, I think that has radically changed over the last decade or two, and here's why. Like,
Hmm.
I think society has shifted like the roles of men.
Yeah.
Like sometimes for the better, sometimes like causing confusion. But like a good man doesn't get stuck in like what should I be? He focuses on just being authentic,
Hmm.
respectful, adaptable without like losing his core values.
Hmm.
And like so a good man is someone who balances like the modern expectations of what a good man is, like being vulnerable, being able to express emotions with timeless values of like being a provider, protector, honor, respect, and responsibility. And like he knows his worth, but also is always striving to add value to others.
Yeah.
Um, in a nutshell, man, like authenticity often feels like risky because like societal norms are like pushing conformity. But I think us and people who are listening to this are like sick of conforming and sick
Mhm.
of mediocrity. And so, like, the key is to ask yourself, like, am I making choices that align with who I want to be or just who people expect me to be?
Yeah.
Trust your compass, your own navigational compass, not the crowd. So, like, wherever the
Absolutely.
sheep are going, go the opposite way.
Yeah.
Um, that's what I got for that.
I like the authentic part, and really defining in the get go, the expectation has changed and shifted. Like the standard. Oh, this is the way that man needs to be, cookie cutter. It absolutely has changed. There's not a picture of what quote unquote man needs to be. The idea of the way he needs to be a leader, because being authentic is being a leader. You have to be a leader in your space, whatever that means. Like if you want to be a leader in your industry, a leader in your house, it doesn't need to be a certain way. It doesn't need to be like these are the rules for it. It just needs to be authentic to yourself, a leader in your space, and so I'm glad that you agree on that way, and saying that it's adaptable. You have to change according to whatever that means to you, and being like I said, absolutely authentic to yourself, and really searching yourself, and finding yourself, and what that means is going on a journey and really searching inside of yourself. And that's why, like, understanding where your integrity lies. What do you do when no one's looking? Like, how do you define what your core values are? What is some of the things that have led you to find your core values along the way?
Dude, and I was gonna that's crazy that you asked that because whenever we talk about a topic, I always like to leave whoever decides to listen to this. I always like to leave them with like an actionable, practical step right now, today. What can they implement in their life if they're serious about it? What could they implement in their life and work and like level up their ability to either their own to be and live out their own definition of being a good man or live out being a good man. And what I was going to say is here's the actionable tip. Write down your 3 core values that you have in your life. Set a daily alarm every day at 10 a.m. in your phone with the label as those core values and use them as your North Star in decision making and a daily reminder to say, who am I showing up this way right now? These are my core values, what I believe in, the best version of myself. this is my North Star in decision making. Am I living up to that? Maybe you set it for 5 p.m. Maybe your core values start to diminish along the day before you go show up with your family. Maybe you're at work all day and you're tired. And you got to spend time with your spouse and your kids. Maybe just before you go home, you have that alarm go off and remind you of those 3 core values.
Yeah.
And so, dude, integrity, like you mentioned integrity, it's like doing what's right even though no one's watching. That's like what we learned in the Navy as honor, being honorable. It's the same thing. Like it's the foundation and trust in relationships and success
Yep.
in life. It's like bar none. Lack of integrity like might seem small, like breaking a promise to someone, but breaking a promise to yourself is like the most catastrophic thing you can do. If you commit to something and then you say, "Oh, I'll just do it tomorrow. I'll just do it tomorrow." That's like the most catastrophic thing. But it creates like those small breaking promises with others or yourself, like they create small cracks in the relationships and in your life and reputation over time. And like think of it as like a bank account. Like every honest act is a deposit. Every dishonest act is a withdrawal.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so yeah, I love this type of stuff, man. Sorry if I get carried away a little bit. So
No, get carried.
Because it's interesting that you use the bank withdrawal. I use that analogy of like bank withdrawal, like the credit card aspect, with like emotion and trauma, because at the end of the day, you have to own up to it. No matter what, no matter when it is, how long you try to avoid it, at some point you have to pay the debt. You have to pay for it. Like you can go years and years and years and you can try to avoid it. You can try to avoid it, but at some point you're going to have to face it. And whether we try to run from it and disguise it and mask it and so on and so forth, when that day finally comes and you deal with all of it, that's when you finally, like, you heal and you're able to really move forward in the best way. And so, like you're saying, withdrawals and adding on to yourself. A lot of times we keep withdrawing, thinking, oh man, everything's fine. I'm just gonna keep putting it on credit. I'm just gonna keep putting it on credit. And oh, I'm just gonna open up another account, like, and not realizing, no, like at some point, you're gonna still have to face it. You're still gonna have to that's and why I also feel so passionate about starting all of this is there is a lot of emotional awareness going on in today's society. That's why we're saying, things have changed and things have shifted. A lot of avoidance has been known in the past, especially with males and being a man, like we don't talk about that. We don't, you ignore your feelings and move on. But no, like the reality is having emotional intelligence is absolute. That's really what makes a strong man. You have to be emotionally aware, still get your stuff done. Like I have to know what's going on inside. I have to know and be aware of the things that got me and made me who I am. I have to be aware of the little child that used to get angry. Be like, okay, little kid, you used to get angry, but now it's time to be a grown man and face your responsibilities. So what are some of the things that you've learned in life that have made you and made you stronger and become more emotionally intelligent?
oh, dude, can't wait to dive into developing emotional intelligence. But I got to back up because I have to give an actionable step to level up your integrity right now.
Yo, dude, please.
So, leveling up integrity is very simple. Like, identify one small promise that you've broken recently. Think back, even a day, 24, 48 hours, 96 hours. I just one small promise that you've broken to yourself or to someone else. It could be as simple as apologizing for something or just completing a task that you know will take 5 minutes, maybe 30 minutes that you've just procrastinated on. Just identify one small promise and show up for that person or show up for yourself. It'll level up your integrity immediately. And I found that so many business people that are successful and high level entrepreneurs and high performers, they're not like the smartest people, but one thing they all have in common that I've noticed is that they do what they say, they do what they say they're going to do at the time they said they do it in the way they said they were going to do it. Like doing what you said. That's another pure integrity play right there.
Yeah.
Say, yeah, I'll be there. I'm going to show up this way. I'll be there at this time. And then actually just doing it. Like, it's so simple. And some people take that for granted. But like, that is a commonality between the highest performers and the most successful people, because that just goes so far in business.
Yeah.
Developing emotional intelligence, man. I think, like, to define it, like, emotional intelligence is like understanding and managing your emotions while being able to connect with others. It's always about connecting with others. Obviously, you have your own emotions and what you say to yourself and how you operate and how you reflect on certain things, but it's about responding, whether, rather than reacting. And let's kind of talk about yourself, because you're going to hear yourself, you're going to talk to yourself, you're going to be emotionally nice or mean or kind to yourself, and hear your own chatter more than anybody else. So success here in emotional intelligence is 100%. If you take 100%, like, what creates success, 10% of it is what happens to you or what happens for you. 90% of it is how you respond. Right? And you have complete control how you respond to what life throws at you, what life gives you, and how you frame it is going to dictate how you respond. So if you get in a car accident, why did God have to do that? I can't believe this happened to me. You have to figure out a way, like, this happened for me. Like, and you're going to either respond, get sad, get pissed off, have road rage, be upset because you were on the way to an important point, like, whatever it may be, there is some positive out of it. Maybe this is like God's way to be like, dude, you're due for a new car. You need to level up. And I'm going to give you the proceeds for that car. Or maybe, trust me, the insurance company is going to pay to total it. And then you're going to have enough proceeds to get another car. Like, whatever it is, like, you just have to have the faith, but how you frame it is how you respond to it. And 90% of success in emotional intelligence is how you respond. And 10% of it is actually what happens to you or what happens for you. But like, now for men, like how I was talking about earlier, for men, the challenge is often cultural. Like, we're told to man up instead of expressing emotions, dude. You know that, like,
Yeah.
that literally stunts growth. Emotional intelligence allows us to, like, sit back and respond, like, process emotions, how you feel. If you're feeling angry, if you're feeling upset, if you're feeling happy, if you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling anxious, good. You're human.
Yeah.
Like, be thankful for the fact that you can actually feel those things. There's so many people who are walking around either medicated or not, some kind of chemical imbalance where they can't even feel their feelings at all. Right?
Know that.
So emotional intelligence allows us to, like, process that, and then, like, think about it, and kind of just, if it's hard to understand, be like, good, you're growing, because you got to sit back and be curious. Like, wow, why am I feeling? Why is that my immediate reaction? Instead of just immediately reacting, just respond, sit back, and developing emotional intelligence is about being able to respond through a frame of, like, optimism and, like, knowing that there's a reason why this came into my life at this current time, and framing it in a way like this is an opportunity for growth, especially if it's like something bad, catastrophic, or devastating, whatever it is. That's been happening a lot lately. The fires in California, the flooding, and like the hurricanes, and just like all the political nonsense, like, so much out there, especially if you're consuming news and media, like, it's crazy. But I'm telling you, bro, like, just because I'm a high performance coach and I found success in my life, I have to practice sharing my emotions using this wheel of emotions. I have it right next to my freaking desk, bro.
Yeah.
I have it right next to my desk.
Dude.
It's right here. Like, sometimes I can't put a freaking name on how I'm feeling. So I'm like, man, how am I feeling right now? I'm like, oh, look at this. I'm feeling okay, a little bit sad. Okay, you know what? Because
Where can somebody
it-
where can somebody find like that?
just literally just look up wheel of emotions.
Cool.
Like just Google wheel of emotions, and I have it right here.
Bro,
This is one thing I love about my fiance is that she holds me accountable. If she knows I'm like a little bit off, she's like, "How are you feeling?" I'm like, oh. She's like, "Do you need to go get your wheel?" Oh, it's okay. Like it's okay.
it's touch, bro. The word is touch.
We're not taught to feel our emotions and to identify emotions, which is why developing emotional intelligence is not easy.
The thing is, so being a good man, it is actual that the emotional thing is a feminine quality. It is. It is not masculine. It is not written in our DNA to be emotionally aware. So I do want to make it clear that there is a difference between masculine and feminine, but that is a job of a man to understand balance, to understand how to be in touch with the feministic side in order to be there for your woman, which is the goal in any shape or form, to be there. I mean, whatever you may want to be, that is the goal, is to have touch with humankind. You want to be in touch with everybody around you. You have to be in tune with a feministic side. So that's balance. Yeah, it's not part of you, man. Like it is not part of us. So for it to be strange, absolutely. But that is our goal, to learn stuff outside of our bounds. That is the objective. That is why I want to show congruency. It's like, okay, yeah, this was strange for me, man. Like this is hard for me. But that is what makes a good man, a great man, is going outside of what is his norm and saying, no, I want to be good at this. I want to become great, at being a great man for everyone around me, to influence. Because if I'm solid and I'm authentic to myself, to achieve these things, I need to learn more and to be in touch with humanity and to build community. These are some things and qualities that I need to learn. I don't yeah, understanding the emotional aspect, because of the trauma and stuff, it made it also even a little bit more harder. But coming into it, um, I learned even further more. I was more curious. I was like, this is something I want to be really good at, because I know I'm super, super terrible with it. And I was curious, and like I read more about it, and then I started to see how necessary it is for us to show community in it, like, and be aware for everybody, like, talking to older generation, and like even my dad, like seeing how hard it is for them to communicate those things and how necessary it is for them to be, yeah, I'm upset. Like, let me look at the wheel. Like, I teach my son, because I saw him struggle one time, and he was just telling me he was happy all the time. And I was just like, son, hold up. Do you think that I want you to be happy all the time? He's like, yes. I was like, no. I want you to tell me if you're actually sad. I want you to tell me if you're actually angry. Like, I want you to feel whatever you're feeling. But then also, yeah, feel those things, and then don't let it dictate the rest of your day, though. Like, don't, like, let's go on with the rest of our day. But
Could you imagine if our dads like told that to us growing up, dude?
bro, like it would have changed the whole thing.
Like, son, you know, it's okay. You don't have to be happy. It's actually great that you feel sad, you feel mad, but like, just share that. Like, dude, that's like now I know that, and that's such a good thing for you that you're doing that with your son, man.
Bro, like one time he got upset because like the train wasn't the right train, and like he tried to hold back his tears and everything like that. And I was like, okay, okay, wait, hold up. Like, you want to cry, right? Dude, let it out. Let it out. So he started crying, and I was like, okay, now move on. Let's have a good let's have a good day. Don't let this ruin your day, man. Like we still had you had a blast, man.
Mm-hmm.
I know you're upset.
I heard it. One of these like world-renowned coaches says like he has this practice with his kids or his entrepreneurs or like people on his team, like take 5 minutes to sulk and get pissed and like cry and like complain. But then once you're done with that 5 minutes, you
Get
learn
over
from it and you figure out how to let it go.
Yeah.
Like you gotta feel it. Like you have
Yeah.
to work through that. And that's like the healthiest thing you could do. Like be efficient with sulking and feeling and like being curious about why like you feel that way and then identify it and then just be like, cool, interesting. That's a way to level up my self-awareness. And so I want to give the actionable tip, of course,
Absolutely.
of developing emotional intelligence. And then this is like the one thing you could do for those of you who are serious about this stuff. And I know some of you who are listening are actually going to do this and probably already journal, because it's about spending 5 minutes journaling before you go to bed tonight. Grab a pen and paper. If you already have a journal by your bed, good. If you don't, good. Now you can, right? Spend 5 minutes journaling one strong emotion that you felt over the last 24 hours or throughout the day, like the last, 12, 16 hours, whatever it is, throughout that day, last couple hours. Like, what is one strong emotion I felt? And then say, what actually triggered it? And then write how you handled it. That's it. What is one strong emotion I felt? How did it get triggered? And then how did I handle it? Talk about what separates high performers. They have extreme self-awareness. This is one of the best things you could do to start building more self-awareness.
Call yourself out. That is something that I tell people. When you are able to literally look at yourself and like call yourself out, like real talk, like have real talk with yourself. Like, yo, you ain't doing what you're supposed to, or you shouldn't be doing that, or you could do better, but not beat yourself up. Like, no, but like call yourself out. Like, no, like I was feeling this way, or like you're saying, being self-aware,
Mm-hmm.
man, you start to go places. You start to really excel, because when you take those critiques and you start to write them down and you start to track yourself, you can tweak it and you can change the trajectory and you can start to make moves in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you grow. Because how can you grow if you're like, nah, everything's fine, I'm good, or like, no, everything's perfect. Like if you're always telling yourself everything's great, well then everything's great, right? Like if
Not sustainable.
yeah, like if everything's great, well then you're exactly where you should be. Like if everything's great, then you're gonna stay exactly where you are. How are you gonna achieve the next level if everything's great?
You're not getting uncomfortable.
Exactly.
You're definitely not growing. You're not growing if you're not being challenged and going and facing these emotions. It's because somebody in the universe wants you to grow through a situation. That's why this whole situation is put into your life, dude.
That I guess that would kind of lean into the next, being accountable, man. So you already talked about the journaling. Journaling is definitely a thing to hold one accountable. What are some other accountability tools? What do you think is the importance of accountability and everything like that?
Man, first of all, I mean, I gotta say, I got a lot of what I'm probably gonna share with you, and a lot of my mindset type, and just concepts through just becoming a high performance coach or whatever. But this one book called Extreme Ownership by Dakin. I'm sure you got it, right?
I have that, and then right next to me is
Dichotomy of Leadership.
the second book. I have Extreme Ownership over on my other bookshelf.
That's what it's all about. Like, dude, extreme ownership and just accountability. This seriously just means like, no matter what happens in my life, like this is on me. You're not blame shifting. Even when it's hard, it gives you freedom because like you're in complete control. And I know it's not easy to take ownership. It feels easier to say this this person, it's because of this person, or it's because of that, or it's because of the weather, or it's because, it's because of some external force that you have no control of, right? Um, but growth happens when you own your own choices and you learn from it. And this goes obviously in your personal life and business and your relationships, dude. Like, one of the reasons why I went through a very ugly divorce the year before last is because her and I couldn't get real and take ownership of the situations and say, you know what? I'm sorry. I was wrong. Like, it was really difficult for us to get at that level, that deep compassionate level. And so in your intimate relationships, I'm sorry. I was wrong. And then taking ownership, like, I'm not going to do it again. I'm not going to make the same mistake. This is on me. Like, it's okay. This is something that separates the highest performers that are the most extraordinary people that get the most amount done and stay happy while doing it. They're able to take ownership. It gives you freedom. That's a sense of freedom, or like Jocko says, extreme ownership is the key to freedom.
I agree. Like that and I do wanna distinguish the difference between ownership and blame, like fault. Because there's that ugly line where somebody's like, "Oh, it's all my fault," and because fault is like a shame. Ownership is being able to claim something, saying, "No, like, I own this." Blame is and that shame game is victim talk, like, ownership is like, "No, I claim and I own this. I am proud of what I did." Like, when you're victorious of what you're doing, it is a beautiful thing. It's like you're claiming your territory. You're going into this battle like I'm ready to claim what I did, like it's definitely a beautiful thing. Going into whenever like looking back on even the mistakes and the ugliness of my life with ownership, it's been such a redefining aspect of my life. Like looking at my different traumas and everything with ownership, um, has been extremely healing. Like it, I understand. Yes, there were some things that I can't change, and things did quote unquote happen, but it was like, but I can own it. Like, no, it made me stronger. Like, it created this individual that's resilient. It created this person that, man, because of this that happened to me, like, I learned how to do this, and I'm adaptable, and I'm this, and I'm that. And like, dude, I even looked at like my stroke and my head injury, and like, I was like, yo, it put me on pause so that I can learn more about this. Like, I now learned so much about health. Like, I know so much about the brain. Like, I now can help kids out with their see. Like, dude, I'm like so excited for the fact that I suffered a like brain trauma. Like, I'm like, dude, I can help the world. Like, in a weird way, I'm like, it put me on pause to learn so much more about other industries besides the creative realm. Like, I was like, it took me away from being on the path of just music only. Like, now I know how to do this. And like, now I'm back with the fire. Like, dude, rather than being, man, it took away so much of my life. Cause yeah, dude, like I was hurt for a minute. For like a decade, I couldn't go to concerts because I was dealing with seizures. My life was quote unquote taken from me. I was like social anxiety. I was weird. I was different. And like, even though I was still successfully running other businesses and trudging along, I still was hurt, and I was dealing with it. But now, dude, bro, like I see it as like a whole different like pivotal point. I'm like, no, dude, because of it, I can do this. Because of it, I can do that. And like I just like something clicked differently where I own it, like I own it in a different way. And I'm ready to conquer the world because of what happened to me. And that aspect, it's fulfilling. And the way that I explain it to other people is nobody can give that to you. Nobody can say, here's this magic that I give to you. You have to sit down and discover that for yourself. You have to go and feel that for yourself. You have to discover and give yourself that grace. You have to be like, no, I'm ready to take accountability for myself. I'm ready to give that life change. Like, you can be given all the tools and everything like that, but you have to do it today. Like, you have to take that piece of paper out, hold yourself accountable. You have to look at yourself and be like, nah, today I'm ready to do it. And like, that's why I want to show people the inspiration. I want to show people that it's going to be congruent, from episode 1 to episode 1,000. Everybody's going to hear different stories from real men from all different walks of life, that we congruently say the same thing. Like, you can do it. You can be inspired by just being accountable, taking some small steps. You're going to hear different stories and everything like that. And I'm driven to do it, So like, that's awesome that you share extreme ownership, dude. That, seriously, that book, game changer. I'm telling you, like, I got the whole little 4 series. That this book right here, the field guide, field manual. It's cool. It's got the little, like, quotes. It's like daily read stuff. It's cool. Jocko's a cool guy. Have you seen any of, like, his podcast or anything like that?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. He's definitely cool. For
And like it was in my bedroom, like above my like chest of drawers, where I like kind of wake up and part of my morning routine, it literally has a huge plaque that says discipline equals freedom.
Yes.
So yeah, every day it just reminds me, and that is, one of his quotes. It was on the cover of the field manual book.
Yeah.
So dude, yeah, thanks for sharing. Like, man, I know that when I was able to tap into, like actual accountability and taking ownership and all that, my life radically changed. And you felt like you're happy that you like went through some very ugly trauma and like the darkest time of your life. Now you came out with all these reasons why. I really think that we all, go through these seasons, but the ones who see the gold and the value in those dark, like dark times, are going to thrive in the opposite season. There's seasons of learning, there's seasons of sorrow, there's seasons of feeling great and you're locked in. And it's funny because my season of sorrow was when I went through a really bad, ugly divorce. And now I'm literally planning, and I shared this with you the other day, I'm literally planning an adventure trip for divorced men
That's awesome.
called the Divorce Warrior Project. We're going to go summit Mount Kilimanjaro, me and one of my buddies. So like I've learned that, and now I can help impact other men. Be like, look, there's life after a divorce. It's like
Yep.
such an ugly time, and everybody has a different story. But yeah, I got to throw out right now. What could you do? What is the challenge or the action step to level up your accountability? Seriously, just it's the high performers are that way because they measure the quality of the questions they ask themselves. It's just the quality of the questions that they ask themselves. As a coach, you're just trained to like, you listen, you cheer them on, you're paid to push them, but you just ask them really, really good but simple questions. Right. And this is the following question that you need to ask yourself is like, what is one area of my life where I've been avoiding responsibility? Most people would know immediately. Most people would be like, yep, this is really it. And then all you got to say is, well, what is that first step in owning it today? Like 1%. If you were to move that needle 1%, like just move in that direction. It's like 95% just like starting and getting that momentum going. Because once you, oh yeah, this is kind of easy. I got this. Like, what is that 1%, that one step towards actually saying, I got it, and this is on me. And then obviously go do it. Right.
Yeah.
Just a little baby step.
Yeah. Dude, the baby steps. Very powerful statement. All it is one step at a time. People definitely need to understand and hear that more often, and realize it really just put one foot in front of the other. It doesn't have to be running a marathon off the bat. And actually, my dad, being a marathon runner, this guy is all about it. He tells me all the time, he's like, it's not even about running the whole marathon. It's about getting to the next corner, getting
Yeah.
not even the next mile. It's literally like, oh, I see a street lamp at the end of the street. I just need to get to that lamp. Oh, I got to the lamp.
So that one more,
Yeah.
one more,
You don't need
one more
the
rep,
whole yeah. Yeah.
one more mile,
Yeah.
one more phone call if you're in sales, like one more question I could ask myself before I fall asleep, like in journal, like one more page. I'm going to read one more page before I fall asleep, like whatever it is, like that one more compounds over time. I love that. I love that strategy and that whole concept.
Yeah. So being encouraging to everybody out there, just start. It starts today, and just realize it's just one more. Just do one more. Last thing, I guess, on the agenda. What about the role of humility?
Dude, it takes humility to be accountable and to take ownership. That's why I'm glad we're like ending with this one, because it's not like thinking less of yourself. It's thinking of yourself less.
Mm-hmm.
So it's knowing like there's always room to grow, because no matter what, no matter who you are, there always is. And like, so confidence says like, yo, I got this. And it's not a bad thing. Like if someone like throws a challenge at you and you have never done it before, and you're probably gonna have to like stumble through it. Like confidence is like, yo, I got this. But like humility says, I'm willing to learn and listen. Like it's okay, you don't already know how to do that, but I'm willing to learn and listen. And like when you blend the two, like if you're confident but you're humble, or you have from a place of humility, like the two become unstoppable. I know it's not easy to, because a lot of people mistake confidence for arrogance and ego, but it really depends on how tactful you are with it. And so if anybody's ever told you, if you're like, maybe I could be less arrogant or less egotistical, or like how could I be more humble, and Nelson Mandela led by humility, by listening first and acting with purpose. Most leaders who have gotten to where they've gotten is because, well, sure, they might have like type A personalities, but there is a level of confidence there. But like, you can't get to that point unless you're willing to learn and listen to others around you, and like be coachable and grow. Like take that advice and just continue to grind and grow.
Humble leaders.
Not easy, man. This goes back to like the men of today and the men of yesteryear. Like how many men, like our dads, or our dads had humility. Like, yeah, man, I'm willing to listen, learn, or no. They're like, dude, they either show up, they won't show up until they get home from work, and then they want to grab a beer. They don't want to do anything. They just want to sit on the couch, and like that's like your typical sitcom dad or whatever. But like most of the dads like that we grew up with, in our era of like the millennials, our parents, the boomers, they didn't have parents that taught them anything about humility.
Yeah.
Or just one might be accountability. There might be like confidence in like protecting and providing for your family, but be like having that humility where, again, emotional intelligence, like feeling your feelings and like letting others that you love know that I'm sad. Like I feel I feel sad, or I feel like I'm looking at my wheel of emotion. I feel bitter. I feel insecure. I feel weak, I feel disrespected. it's hard for me to pinpoint those emotions, but like it takes humility to like try to identify those. And yeah, just bridging that like that difference between confidence, arrogance, ego, and humility, like being able to learn and listen. And because a lot of times confidence, if you're confident and you think it's just like you're being positive, you're being optimistic, it could definitely come off as arrogance. And a lot of people don't like that.
Dude, lesson with, I like to bring him up all the time because, he's our youth in a nutshell. My son, dude, this kid, I know everything. I know this. He telling me I know how to drive already, bro. I'm like, I love you, kid.
That's
I'm like, I love your confidence, dude. I love it, but I do need to like find the balance between not shutting down your confidence, but teaching you humility. And so, like with him, I talk to him. I talk to him not just like I never say, no, don't do this. Like I will explain whole sentences and whole paragraphs. And I encourage any parent out there, talk to your kids. That's it. Like I know sometimes it's long-winded. I know sometimes you're tired. I know, but like after working in the emergency department where I see psych kids all day because our behavioral medicine center right next to us, every kid that checks into our behavioral medicine center has to get medical cleared through our emergency department first. So I deal with every single psych eval kid that comes through my department all day, every day. And if I would say there's a congruent theme that goes on, they just need to be listened to, bro. They need to be talked to most of the time. That's a big thing that goes on. Kids don't have somebody that feels like they're listened to or talked to. Talk to your kids. Whole sentences. I talked to him. And I was just like, listen, son, I know you feel very confident that you can do everything and anything in the world. And I want you to lose that energy, but it is better for you to act like you don't know everything so that you can learn something new. You might learn something that you've never thought of before, and you might find out some cool information, and you just might experience something that you never thought you would experience before if you act like you don't know. So I want you to feel like you know everything, but I want you to act like you don't know a single thing. It's the best thing to be humble and feel humility. So if you could do that for me, it would be better for you. And he's like, and he's starting to do a little bit better, but like, yeah, like,
It's so good, dude. I love that.
yeah, dude, try.
Man, you're like spending that type of time that's quality time above anything else. Like,
Dude, trying, man. It's understanding time management and balance, like being the entrepreneur that I am, going back to school, handling a regular job. Um, it's understanding balance for sure. Um, but cause I explained to him everything, like, I'm like, hey, like I'm going to school to accomplish this. He knows how much I work. He's gone with me to many job sites before, like actually put on the hard hat and everything like that. It's really adorable. He knows that I tattoo. And he's even been on stage with me when I perform. And so I keep him involved and I tell him how hard I work and when I have to go to work and everything like that. And so I explain everything and show him the process of providing and everything like that and the purpose behind all of it so that he doesn't feel completely left out while I have to go handle my responsibilities. But still having to go take care of everything. And I make sure that I still get my time with him too, cause yeah, at first when I was just grinding out there, handling life and running my businesses, cause with my locksmith business, I was managing 8 states and I was gone all the time. I realized like, no, I need to change it up. And it was a hard lifestyle change financially. But I was willing to figure it out so that I could give him that quality time because I know how much more important that is.
good for you, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Trying. Like I said, do what I can, bro. Having faith.
Man, for how to have more humility as a man. I think this is this is maybe simple, but maybe not easy. Maybe for some people it is, but in the next conversation that you have, like the next one-on-one conversation that you have, focus entirely on the other person. Like no interruptions, just listen, inspire them, and don't like think about responding or jumping in or letting them know you know something or you're giving them unsolicited feedback, right? Unsolicited advice. Um that's definitely an issue that I've ran into a lot. Like when I just know like someone's facing a problem or having some kind of challenge, and I've like experienced that before. Like I immediately just like, yo, this is what I did. Just try to do that, do this. You know, like I just always want to help people, and so this will be my actionable tip for myself to have more humility. It's just like the next conversation that I have, I'll just listen. No interruptions, just listen, inspire. And that's it. And it might take digging deep for some people, like to not jump in and try to help or give your advice, or make sure they know that you know something about this whole situation. Just listen and don't interrupt, just empower. Hey, is there anything I can do to support you? Like, and if they ask for your advice, that's like your green light. Have advice, like I have to practice. Hey, man, I think I could give you some advice here. Like, can I do you mind if I make a recommendation? If it's a female, a lot of the times they want to vent, especially if you're a spouse. If you're a man and you're female, your woman is like venting. This is like 101 marriage and happiness and your relationship success 101 is if they're venting and venting and venting, that doesn't mean they want you to fix their problem. That means right. But you know, like you think you know what you could do to solve the problem. Be like, oh, okay, well, do you want any advice on that? Like 90% of the time, be like, no. But sometimes they'll like those 10%, they'll be like, actually, yeah. Like, especially me as like a high performance coach, I have to make sure I'm not putting my coach mask or hat on to like when I'm dealing with my lady. And so like it takes intention for me not to coach, not to solicit advice, but it's like the one thing you can do is just, hey, do you mind if I give you a recommendation? Or no. That's it. Just ask if they actually want your advice before you just jump in and give it to them.
That's beautiful.
But anyway, dude, yeah, this is great. I'd love to kind of sum up those action steps.
Please do.
30 seconds. Yeah. What is we said, like defining to be a good man. That you're
Finding a good man, the importance of integrity, developing emotional intelligence, accountability, and humility.
humility. So the first one, like defining what it be as a good man, we had you write down your 3 core values in your life, like your personal core values, and to use as your North Star, and then set a daily alarm at whatever time makes sense for you to remind you of those core values, to remind you so you can trigger and ask yourself, am I showing up that way? Integrity, just identify a small promise that you broke with yourself or with somebody else and then fix it. It's like they're very simple. Like, again, these are like 1%. He's like, where's the 1% I could do to move integrity in the right way in my life today? Emotional intelligence. I think we said spend 5 minutes tonight journaling about one strong emotion that you had like over the last 24 hours. Like, how did you feel? What was that emotion like? And then what triggered it and how did I handle it? That's it. Just like having that awareness. You don't have to go try to like fix anything. Just like write down, this is the emotion that I felt, what actually triggered it, and how did I handle it? Um, Accountability, we said, what is asking yourself what is one area of your life that you've been avoiding responsibility for, and then thinking, well, what is one little step I could take to actually owning it, and then do it. And then lastly, like I said, in your next conversation, in order to build more humility, don't intervene, don't jump, just like listen and inspire that person. You'll actually influence them more in a way. Like, and it might actually be the opposite of being humble and having humility by just listening. but just by listening and inspiring and like getting curious and asking genuinely curious questions and like being actual curious about them, you are actually influencing them in a positive way, because the more questions you ask and like you put it on them, they are going to be like, well, tell me about you. What do you got going on? Like, what do you like? They're going to want to reciprocate. People love talking about themselves, right? So give them that chance to like talk about themselves, ask and listen, actually listen. Don't listen to just jump in and respond. Of that one action step for humility. The next conversation, just listen and inspire and cheer them on, and that's it. Just don't jump in. And ask if you really want to give advice. Hey, could I make a recommendation? They say yes. There you go. There's your green light. But dude, this was fun, man. How do we do this?
All right. Thank you, Tim, for being on the episode. So how can people get a hold of you if they want to get a hold of you?
Appreciate you asking, man. Yeah, man, I'm kind of all over different socials. If you're not in LinkedIn, get there. I'm probably most active on LinkedIn, but you could find me at the Timothy Kelly, Instagram at the Timothy Kelly, X at the Timothy Kelly, Facebook. If you just type in Tim Kelly or at the Timothy Kelly, you'll also find me on Facebook. And my website, thetimothykelly.com. But if you're like past or present military and you have some kind of interest in real estate investing, or you want to connect with other successful and even newbie military real estate investors who are just trying to build wealth through real estate, got to check out activedutypassiveincome.com. Check out the podcast. Download our free book called Military House Hacking. It's a best-selling book and it's free on our website. You can also just go to militaryhousehacking.com. And then if this resonated with you and you just want to like get a hold of me quicker, and we could just like hop on a phone call. I could just like, whatever, we could just get to know each other and see if we could help each other out or collaborate in any way. Give you a free coaching session, whatever you want, really. Just shoot me a text. And let me know you heard me on Mike's show, and be happy to like just send you a link. We can schedule a call and we'll sync up. And you can text me at 847-910-9161. Later.
Sounds good. All right. Thank you so much. And you take care of yourself. Congratulations on everything. And tell us how that hike goes up that mountain, dude.
Yeah.
It's gonna be it's gonna be great. And we look forward to seeing your adventures on all the good stuff. And we look forward to seeing you guys on the next episode. All right, take care.